Guy de Maupassant Rosalie Prudent. Undeniably, this case contained an unresolved mystery, one that proved beyond the grasp of the judges, the jury, and even the prosecutor himself. Rosalie Prudent, a maidservant in the household of the Varembots in the town of Mantes, had concealed her pregnancy from her employers, given birth alone in her attic room one night, then killed the newborn and secretly buried it in the garden. It appeared to be a straightforward case of infanticide by a servant girl. However, one circumstance remained utterly inexplicable. A search of the accused Prudent's room had uncovered a complete layette, which Rosalie had prepared with her own hands. For 3 consecutive months, she had cut and sewn by night. A shopkeeper from whom she had purchased candles for this long work using her meager savings confirmed this in court. It was also established that the midwife, whom Rosalie had entrusted with her secret, had provided her with all necessary instructions and practical advice in case the labor began when no help was available. Furthermore, this same midwife had been seeking a position for Mademoiselle Prudent in Poissy, as the girl anticipated her imminent dismissal. The Varembots were known for their scrupulous strictness in matters of morality. Both husband and wife were present in the courtroom, provincial rentiers, seething with indignation against this wanton woman who had disgraced their home. They thirsted for immediate execution, without superfluous formalities, and heaped forth furious testimony that, from their lips, sounded like merciless accusations. The defendant, a tall and well-built girl from Lower Normandy, surprisingly refined, wept incessantly, and answered no questions. The impression was formed that she had committed her monstrous deed in a fit of despair and derangement, for everything indicated that she had intended to keep the child alive and raise it. The presiding judge made another attempt to make her speak, to draw a confession from her. As he pleaded with her with great gentleness, he finally managed to convince her that all these men gathered to judge her did not wish for her death, and were even capable of compassion. Then she relented. He asked, "Now, tell us, first of all, who is the father of the child?" Until now, she had stubbornly concealed it, and suddenly, casting a glance at her employers, who were accusing and reviling her with such malice, she uttered, "Monsieur Joseph, the nephew of Monsieur Varembot." The couple, starting, cried out with one voice, "It's not true. She is lying. What vile slander!" The presiding judge silenced them and, addressing the defendant, said, "Please continue. Tell us how it all happened." And then she suddenly began to speak, pouring out her pent-up emotions, unburdening her poor, secret, lonely, and broken heart, sharing her sorrow, all her anguish with these stern men whom she had until now considered her enemies and merciless judges. Yes, it was Monsieur Joseph Varembot, when he came here on leave last year. And what does Monsieur Joseph Varembot do? He is a non-commissioned officer. Sir, he serves in the artillery. So, he stayed with us for 2 months. 2 months in the summer. At first I paid no attention, but then he started watching me. Then he began showering me with compliments, and then flirting with me all day long. And I gave in, sir. He kept saying that I was pretty, that I was good company, that he liked me very much, and I took a liking to him too. What can I do? How can you not listen to such words when you are all alone in the wide world? Completely alone, like me. I am alone, sir. I have no one to exchange a word with, no one to tell my troubles to. I have no father, no mother, no brother, no sister, no one. And he became like a brother to me when he spoke to me so kindly. And then he asked me to come to the river in the evening to talk without witnesses. And I went. How was I to know? How could I have known what would come of it? He embraced me. Honestly, I didn't want to. I didn't want to know, but I couldn't resist. I felt like crying from the surge of emotion. It felt so good. And the moon was shining. I couldn't. No, I swear. I couldn't. He did all he wanted. And so it went for all 3 weeks he was staying here. I would have followed him to the ends of the earth. And then he left. I didn't even know I was with child. I only found out a month later. And she broke into such bitter, violent sobs that the court had to grant her a recess until the storm of weeping subsided. Then the presiding judge addressed her once more with the same profound compassion with which a priest receives a confession. Now continue. And she began again, her voice broken by hiccuping sobs. When I realized I was with child, I confessed it to Madame Boudin, the midwife. She's here. She'll tell you herself. And I asked her what to do if the pains took me in her absence. Then I set about sewing the layette, working every evening until 1 in the morning, and I immediately started looking for another situation. I knew I would be dismissed, but I wanted to hold on here until the very end to save at least a little, for I had no money at all, and it would be so needed for the baby. So you did not wish for its death? Of course not, sir. Then what drove you to it? And this is how it happened. It came sooner than I expected. The pains seized me in the kitchen, just as I was finishing the washing up. Monsieur and Madame Varambot were already asleep. Struggling against the pain, I dragged myself up to my room, clinging to the banister, and lay down right on the floor so as not to soil the bed. An hour passed, maybe 2 or even 3, I don't know, the agony was so great. I pushed with all my might, felt him come out, and picked him up. Upon my word, I was overjoyed. I did everything just as Madame Boudin had instructed me. Everything. Then I laid him on my bed. Yes. And then the pain suddenly returned with such force that I thought I would die on the spot. If you men knew what that torment is like, you wouldn't father so many children, upon my soul. I sank to my knees, then fell onto my back again onto the floor, and the wrenching pain took hold of me again. Another hour passed, or maybe more. I lay there all alone, and suddenly I felt a second one coming, a second infant, twins. Yes, twins. That's how it was. I picked him up too, like the first, and put him on the bed, next to the other. There were 2 of them. Is such a thing possible? Well, tell me. 2 children. And I, who earn only 20 francs a month. Well, is that conceivable? 1, that might still be managed by denying myself everything, but not 2. My head spun. How could I have foreseen it? What was I to do? Tell me. How could I have known? I felt my reason slipping away. In my despair, I put a pillow over them. I was beside myself. I couldn't possibly keep both. And I lay down on top of it myself, unable to look. And then I cried and tossed all night long, until dawn began to break in the window. They, of course, smothered under the weight. Then I took them, held them to my breast, went down the stairs, out into the kitchen garden, took the gardener's spade, and buried them in the earth as deep as I could, one in one corner, the other in another, far apart, so they couldn't gossip about their mother if dead babies can even talk. How should I know? And when I got back to bed, I felt so ill I couldn't move. They sent for the doctor. He figured it all out. I have told you the pure truth, Mr. President. Do with me as you see fit. I am ready for anything. The jurymen blew their noses noisily, time and again, struggling to hold back their tears. The women in the courtroom wept openly. The presiding judge asked her one final question. In which exact spot did you bury the second child? She asked in return. Which one did you find? Why, the one that was buried among the artichokes. Ah, then the other, over there where the strawberry bed is, near the well. And once again she was overcome. She was racked by such bitter, soul-rending sobs that the entire courtroom shuddered. Mademoiselle Rosalie Prudent was acquitted by the court.